everybody who's up at an ungodly hour in the morning, wherever you are. I'm
Oh
Brandon.
God, it's daylight.
Oh no, it's been daylight here.
Oh, it's 6.
Yo, well, it's 9:30 for me here.
Ooh, I'm Brandon. I gotta sleep. Um, what did you title the stream? What are we how are we what is the introduction here? I don't know. We just kind of came in.
Well, I said my name, um, but I titled the stream "Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Avengers: Endgame, and more."
Oh, I guess there will be an N more in there, won't there?
Yeah, I'm sure there's gotta be something doing.
Always is.
Actually,
Oh, hello people. I'm the other one.
he is the other one.
Uh, Alfred P. Opinion. Oh no,
Alfred
I
P.
should have said
Opinion
it
and
like Otto. P. Inyon. It would have been. That's
and
awful either way.
and I am C3 Pinion.
That would make me R2 don't give a fuck.
Oh, I'm just imagining like R2D2 with like the like pixel like deal with it shades and like 60 blunts in his mouth and an air horn.
Fucking backwards snapback.
Actually, this is kind of like the perfect like image to start on because of the trailer for the new Star Wars.
Uh,
So I'm sure we both have a lot to say about it. So what we're going to start off with on this stream is we're going to be talking about, well, first of all, we're very disorganized. That's nothing new. Oh shit, did somebody already choose Kylo? Damn, that was
yeah,
quick.
bitch. Eat me.
Oh, all right.
He's so cool.
Sure, use Darth Vader all up until he gets a cool trailer shot. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be we're gonna be talking about the new Star Wars trailer that dropped like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or however long that was. It was a while ago, and everybody's probably already talked about it. But we only just saw it like a few days ago, at most.
Yeah, we've
Because we
both
were
been trying to very aggressively avoid any sort of information about this movie. We each had little snippets spoiled for us in different parts, and then good old Avengers and fucking Disney had us be like, "Oh, we know that everyone on the goddamn planet knows this movie's coming out, but we're gonna roll the trailer for it." And then just the second most popular movie in ever. Just gonna
Yo.
throw information that nobody needs in order to advertise it.
Yeah, by this point, it's probably the first most popular movie ever.
Yeah, probably.
Which we're going to be talking about that movie too, and that should be interesting. But we're probably, or at least I'll have probably a lot more to say about Star Wars since I care about that franchise more. But we're going to start talking about the trailer and our opinions on it, and then once we're done with that, we are going to go ahead and talk about Endgame, and then probably whatever else. I'm not the target, am I? Cool.
That looked hilarious on my screen. Um. Yeah. So, shall we just get into it then?
Yeah, I think so.
All right then.
So much to say.
I'd seen the trailer. Well, most of the trailer first. When I realized what it was, like when I heard Luke's voice and the over thing, I realized what it was, and I tried to close my eyes. Um, I'm like, I'm in the middle of a theater with like surround sound and shit, so there's no way you're gonna escape it. You're gonna hear the things that are there to hear. And so I opened them like right about the time it does the close up on Ray's like resolute face. And the first thing I gotta say is, God damn, just the scenery is beautiful to look at. Like, yeah, it's more desert, but it's just really pretty.
Yeah.
And I was throwing a bit of a fit in the theater. I was very grumpy about it. But then like the Taya silencer swoops down, and then she does a jump and Jedi things. Like, she clearly has some handle over her force sensitivity. But in that moment, like right after she jumps the TIE silencer, Leia's theme swells out and the music like kicks in, and in that moment, I just started bawling like a little bubble blowing bitch. I I didn't stop crying until at least 5 minutes into Avengers.
I am all alone. I am all alone. I am all alone. Oh God. Oh, this is not gonna end well for me.
I believe in you.
And there was the Luke. Yeah, I didn't have that strong an emotional reaction to it. I think because I was like resisting it as much as I possibly could at that particular moment. Because
Oh, that is the worst way to go about something. I don't want this blood transfusion. I'm going to make my body reject it. Yeah, that's a good call.
Forget my... Damn it. Because yeah, I initially wasn't too aware that I was even gonna see the trailer until EJ texted me like, I saw the trailer. And I was like, when did you see it? And he was like, right before Avengers Endgame. And literally, I had just purchased the tickets to go see it, like a few minutes before he had sent that. I was like,
that makes
fuck,
the all
shit.
caps fuck so much better.
And so I was like, well, I don't want to see it. But then he was like, well, we could talk about it. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to leave you in that boat all alone. So I resolved to see it. So in the theater, like right as soon as the Lucasfilm logo even slightly started to appear, I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And I said that like 3 or 4 times at least, like just really quickly as the trailer was starting up, and I was just like, oh gosh, I'm not ready. And so the entire time I was just like, I was trying to not close my eyes.
Brandon, come on, man. It's a fucking trailer. It's not premarital sex.
Because I really didn't want to know anything about it. And I after seeing it, I definitely wish that I hadn't seen it. But I mean, I'm in this boat with you now, so here we are in this boat.
I definitely think that it's better that you have seen it, though, considering what it looks like is going to happen in it, you know? And we'll get into that in a bit. Ooh, Jesus. And I just want to clarify, my fucking complete breakdown wasn't because of like any sort of positive attitude towards the trailer or like any overwhelming sense of joy over the content that was going to be in it. It was a swelling of emotion amplified by the fact that 3 or 4 days prior, Peter Mayhew passed away. And so that was like, that was still fresh. And then it's Leia's theme. Like, the first movie I can remember watching is halfway into episode 5. It's like fucking Leia was legit my first princess. Then I thought about how we lost Carrie Fisher and like everyone's just fucking gone. Um, I mean, yeah, we still have Harrison, but Harrison's never wants to be a part of any of his fucking any of his franchises. He hates them all.
The only time he likes one of his franchises is when he's hating on another one. Because I know an interview specifically where he was talking, somebody was like, why don't you like Han Solo? He's like, the character doesn't interest me. He doesn't have as much depth as we can bring to the character of Indiana Jones. But I'm sure he's hated an Indiana Jones at least a couple of times.
He's a professor. Why is he fighting Nazis?
And at least we still have Mark Hamill.
Oh, I was marked?
A gift to the world.
I would have tried to 1v4 if I knew that. He's an absolute treasure.
Yup. Fucking, one of the, like, so Google tries to spoil things for me. I'm sure it 100% tries to spoil things for me. Because it kept giving me Star Wars things, and I kept, like, just, like, in the notifications bar, it just would be, like, articles about Star Wars, and I'd swipe them away, be like, I don't want to read it. I'm not even really going to read the title. But then one of the notifications I got was Mark Hamill apologizes for, I think, spoiling something. I think he spoiled something about the trailer, or he had spoiled something about the new Star Wars or something. And he was like, the article's like, he apologizes for spoiling it, says, I should have spoiled Avengers Endgame instead.
Oh, yeah, I saw that tweet. I didn't see the initial one, but I saw that one. I was just like, oh, I love this man. But yeah, so it was just like overwhelming emotion of like just what this series has gone through, and like just a culmination of every feeling I've ever had about it all at once throughout my entire life, just flooding into me. And just the score in those movies, there's something about them when they swell in play. It happens a lot more now that I've gotten like older, but like they just break me down, man. Like I can't handle it.
I get that, though. I don't want to be here. I'm the next target. I don't want to be here. Yeah, Count Dooku. Yeah. So I don't think we can avoid talking about it anymore. So, starting, do you want to go in chronological order, or just as we think of them?
We'll just do a bit of a recap of the trailer, I suppose, and then we'll go into our thoughts about them as we have angry thoughts.
Well, then I think we can start with my personal favorite thing about it, which is because it starts out, with Rey looking at the beautiful desert landscape, and then Luke's voice is heard saying something. I forget exactly what. I think it's like, we've taught you everything we know, or something. We passed down everything we know, something like that.
Yeah.
Like
the 1,000 generations now reside within you.
Yep. And so that, in my opinion, hopefully means, no, it's not confirmed or anything, but I'm hoping it means that Luke will be back as a Force Ghost. Either way, Mark Hamill will, I think, be involved in some capacity, which, yay! More him and Luke, and hopefully yay. So, excited about that.
I'm personally not holding my breath for him as a Force Ghost. While I would love it, I don't need it. I, more than anything, just enjoy the implication of her having, like, read the books and learned from those, like, learning how to be her own Jedi more than anything else. Which is another reason I was crying so fucking hard, was because, like, I feel like Rey is the spiritual successor to the hope that fans always had that Leia would end up being a Jedi in the far-flung future, which really also paralleled to me what with the swelling of her goddamn theme while Rey was doing Jedi shit.
That definitely makes sense.
But yeah, then it does the whole zoom in on gloves that could be Kylo's or just anybody who wears black gloves. Um, it's like not his silencer from The Last Jedi, but you know, it probably exploded when Snoke's ship fucking split in half.
Oh hey, I got the I find your lack of faith disturbing achievement in that game.
Oh, neat.
um, yeah, and then the TIE fighter comes in on the sand real close, and Rey starts running away with the lightsaber on, and she does a cool Jedi flip over it. Um,
Uh,
I
Definitely looks like she cuts into that shit based off of like just her momentum.
yeah, I I have no idea what that scene is supposed to be though, which is interesting. Like I don't know if that's just for the trailer. I don't know like if that's actually going to be in the movie. I have no idea.
Well, with how fucking famous Marvel is for like retouching their shit, um, like like for the Endgame trailer, I think they had like the Hulkbuster armor instead of Professor Hulk, which oof, can't wait to get there. Oh, I love Professor Hulk. I love him. Um, but yeah, they had the Hulkbuster armor going through like with the hero's walk instead of actual Hulk, which I mean, yeah, it's easy to take out and retouch or replace a CG character, but um, the fact that like Rey is using Luke's lightsaber despite the fact that the Kyber crystal exploded, um, like it would make sense that perhaps they changed the color. She rebuilt her. It might even be her own lightsaber, and they just touched it out. Having watched it this morning, though, it definitely looks like the exact physical object in her hand. So I think it's the original lightsaber, but it could still end up having a different color in the end.
True.
Um,
Actually, I don't know how I forgot about that, but I forgot about that.
I mean, it was a very poignant scene.
It was, and I forgot about that for the trailer purposes.
Yep. Exploding a fucking lightsaber to you know, symbolize the incredible split and duality of the fan base, which brings back the first moment of many in this trailer that amounts to, please, for the love of God, JJ, don't be a bitch and pull back.
Yeah, cause like I wanted to save it until the end, but the name Rise of Skywalker, I really hope he doesn't do anything stupid.
All right, so I don't, I still don't give a two-bit fuck about who Rey's parents are. They could have been Luke in person. She could be Ben's sister. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's not important. That was like the whole point of the build-up of the last movie is that she's her own fucking person.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it completely undercuts it if she's space royalty.
Yep.
Um, However, that being said, I'm not positive, but I really get the impression that the name Rise of Skywalker is referring to Ben for a number of reasons. One being that he's idolized Darth Vader, a Skywalker, over his father, Solo, who we know doesn't even have that as a real last name because he didn't have a name. Thanks, Solo. We needed that background information. Appreciate that.
Uh,
But it plays his theme in like a higher key when over the name, like at that last crescendo before the last 3 seconds of the trailer. And music has always been a huge part of Star Wars. That's why fucking John Williams like composes it as he's like viewing the scenes of the movie, so he can interchange the themes and pieces as appropriate to each individual frame. And because it's in like a higher key, that's always been, traditionally hopeful, and this is a good thing kind of thing. I don't think for a moment that that Kylo Ren's going to end up being a good guy, like be, oh, I'm a good guy now in the movie, yay, everyone forgives me. But I do think this movie is going to not focus on him, but be his internal struggle is going to be much like in The Last Jedi, the focal point and emotional backbone of Rise of Skywalker.
I hope so too. I really hope that that title has nothing to do with Rey. And I'm hoping that the trailer was engineered to make you think that it would, so that way when it's not, it's unexpected.
Yeah.
Because like Kylo Ren was literally in maybe a frame of this trailer and then just implied in the rest.
I mean, whatever your opinion on The Last Jedi, you gotta. I mean, if you're a casual moviegoer, I understand, but like, if you really enjoy a story, you gotta stand by like those story decisions. You can't just like walk it back and retcon shit like J.K. Rowling does every Thursday. Like that's not how you write a comprehensive story. And if J.J. uses this to like fucking the end of the Skywalker saga to walk back just the most groundbreaking decisions for the entire mythos of Star Wars, it's a weak move, and it's gonna bring down the whole universe. I mean, not like bring it down like, oh, it's crumbling, but like just kind of lower the impact of the universe over time, and it's not gonna hold up.
I definitely agree. And I really don't know who he'd be pleasing with that, because you gotta think of it this way, like, what's done is done. The people who were pissed off by The Last Jedi will always be pissed off by The Last Jedi. No matter what you do, it's not gonna happen, and everybody who loves it
actually,
is already...
I heard a really interesting like series of statistics. Apparently, Return, like, fucking loved, the most loved Star Wars on release, and Empire was like almost universally like panned. Like the fans were reviled by it, and then as time went by, those two numbers shifted to the point where Empire's like the best Star Wars movie, and Return's like the weakest of the original trilogy. So, like, yeah, we have explosive outrage culture right now, but I'm very curious to see if, like, the current view of Last Jedi is going to hold up in 20 years, because the view of Empire didn't. It completely shifted.
I truly don't think it will. Like, I'd be surprised if in, like, 15, 20 years, like, we're watching these new like, we've had, like, Rian Johnson's trilogy, and we've had probably one or two other movies, at least. We look back on this, and this is old by that point. Like, I'd be really surprised if, like, we'd look back and then people still are like, no, that Jedi sucks. Like, obviously there are going to be people that still believe that, but probably much fewer than there are now. Just be people who can appreciate it, especially since the people who would then watch it in like 20 years are people who are like babies right now. And so then they'd be 20 and they would watch it and be like, oh yeah, this is cool, while their parent is silently judging them, being like, you son of a bitch, I hate this movie. As he goes on his internet to say that his child is an idiot. Because that's the kind of person he is.
I mean, what parent doesn't proclaim their child an idiot on the internet, though? Oh my god, I got him.
Oh, and I just myrtleized Vader and Maul.
Yeah, we'll touch on more of the please don't do this, JJ moments.
Yeah, because like, I mean, jumping into like the full, like how I feel about or how this trailer made me feel a little bit early. Like, I guess I can see why you think it might be good that I saw the trailer, because now I have an idea of what to expect, or that way if like JJ does walk it back, I'm not completely like, what? No, no, and I'm just no. Or I don't get expectations up for something else, which I normally try not to do anyway, but okay. We'll see that. I was just pulled through space and time. But, and I could see that would be a good thing, but this trailer definitely made me less hopeful that this third movie will stick the landing. I have much less confidence in this movie now that it will stick the landing that the first two movies have done, because I was worried about that anyway, because I really enjoyed The Force Awakens, and then The Last Jedi just kind of like took my expectations from The Force Awakens and blew them out of the water. So it's just like, I've had one good movie and one really fucking good movie. It's like, how do you keep that up? Like, how? So I was very curious, and just seeing this, it's like, oh, maybe it won't have the strongest landing. Maybe it'll just be another okay. Maybe it'll be an okay movie, or you know, I'll take a good movie. I'll take a good movie, absolutely. Doesn't have to be
Like,
great or anything.
I'm not gonna try and talk shit on The Force Awakens. It was exactly what it needed to be. Like, it needed to get people excited for Star Wars again. Like, the people who were in were always going to be in, but everyone who felt like jaded from the prequels, like, it needed to be a rehash of A New Hope to get them into it, because nothing kind of like rekindles that like unfettered nostalgia.
Yeah, even if it wasn't
so-
like a very similar, like even if it wasn't very similar plot-wise, it needed to resemble original Star Wars, I think. And it had to really feel like it, and I think what they did was perfect, honestly.
I mean, I would have preferred something that was like completely new, but that's what The Last Jedi gave us.
Yep.
I mean, all right, completely new isn't fair to say, but it didn't try to be another movie. Like, yeah, there were similarities, but it was its own story presented in its own way.
Exactly. And something I saw that like I wanted to start commenting on, but I didn't have the time. And then my response was like lost, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna bother rewriting this. But somebody was like, they were complaining about how people were writing movies and TV shows and all of that stuff specifically to undercut the audience's expectations, and they were upset that that's what all media has been trying to do, because they're like, predicting it doesn't mean that it's bad. It might mean that they're just really good at telling stories, or that you are really good at understanding stories. And if they could telegraph what's going to happen, if that's their intention, is, you know, that's the mark of a good story. You should just focus on satisfying stories rather than trying to, you know, pull one over on the audience or like surprise the audience. And I just wanted to say, like, I mean, sure, not every movie has to do it, but some, like, doing it can push a good movie into being great, because it forces you to think in a different way. It's like, imagine if Rian Johnson had just written the movie he probably had, you know, thought of at first. Like, his first natural thing was like, oh, well, Rey's got to be somebody important. You got to have a parents reveal. You got to do this, this, and this. Imagine if he had wrote that movie. That movie would have probably been boring, or at least not as good as what we got. So does it work all the time? No, but I mean, nothing ever does. And you know, what you do get when it does work is sometimes better than what you would get when it doesn't. So it's just, I guess it's just a matter of the media you seek out. at that point if you're just tired of it.
Um, I think why I like The Last Jedi so much more over The Force Awakens is like what I love about Star Wars is that it's so fucking like fantastical. Like it has limitless possibilities in the universe, and what I love more than anything is when it like it and the people who are creative using it give me something I've never seen before. Like like I always tell you, like the one question I've always had ever since I was a kid was why don't they ever just turn off the lightsabers, point it at somebody, and then like turn them back on again? And The Last Jedi fucking gave me that. It was so good. In someone's face. Oh, it was so good. And so when Star Wars gives me something I've never seen before, it's amazing. That's why I enjoyed Solo so much. It was like a like the war scene in Solo was just like fucking dirty and grimy and like it wasn't space fantasy. It was like a World War One and movie essentially, and it was phenomenal to see. Like the whole space heist aspect was something I hadn't seen, and if it weren't for exactly what Solo was, something I wouldn't have been able to have seen with Star Wars. That's why I like Last Jedi so much more than The Force Awakens. Like The Force Awakens is a great movie, but ultimately it's mostly things I've seen, and I just don't want Rise of Skywalker to be that, you know?
Yeah. I totally understand that. Because, yeah, then continuing on with the trailer, like, who appears first? Leia or Billy D?
Neither. Rainy mountain village that looks slightly Mesoamerican. It's really pretty looking though. I'm interested to see what happens there, even if it's just like a quick pit stop.
Yeah.
Also the new like never mind, I'm gonna walk that statement back real quick. Half of the new character designs for the gang are really sweet. Like fucking Poe and Finn look dope, and Rey looks exactly like she did in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, that was also confusing to me. Like, why is she not in either her Jedi outfit or a new one?
Like at the end, she puts on a whiter version of her same shitty robe. Yeah. Oh, except it has a hood on it because the light side or something.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love the new designs for Poe and Finn and everybody. They look so cool. They got the fucking staffs and everything. Ah. Whoever the costume designer was for them is
Finn looks
so good.
Like he looked confident, like he was ready for whatever the fuck was going on in his life now. Like he looks like he's grown and can handle himself as a person. And I'm really excited to see that Finn.
Definitely.
But then when we eventually see people again, it is Leia. It's
that
a scene of Leia and Rey hugging. And then we see presumably Leia's fingers rubbing over the metal from A New Hope, which it made me cry harder. Made me cry way harder because everyone who receives one of those medals is dead, and the woman holding that medal is dead. So that made me sad.
Yeah, like that's another thing was like, all right, so now we're getting into sort of like why I wish I hadn't seen the trailer. because what I was expecting, because this is like the only part of expectate, like the other two is just surprises that would have been in there otherwise. But the only one that I was expecting anything out of was that I was not expecting Carrie Fisher or Princess Leia in any physical form in this movie, because she had passed away before The Last Jedi had released. Like, she had finished filming for The Last Jedi, but I don't think they'd started. I didn't think they had started filming for this movie by that time, and maybe they didn't. So I was 100% not expecting her to be in this, and the fact that she is, I was like immediately like, what, in the theater? And I know that was the point, is they want butts and seats. They're like, look at this person who is not alive anymore. They're still in the movie. Don't you want to know how? And yes, I do, but also, like, and it's going to be the same with every cameo that they show, like Billy D, and then the one at the end that I'm sure we're going to have a bigger discussion on. I really wish I didn't see the trailer, because if I had just gone into the movie and then they had appeared, I would have been so blown away. I would have been so excited. I would have been so surprised. I
Oh
would
my
have been
god,
like,
dude.
what?
I would have lost my shit in the theater when Billy D walks through.
And so
They'd just be like,
immediately,
who are we gonna find to fucking, like, who has a ship at this hour? And he's like, I heard you need a ship and a nice cold Colt 45. And the entire theater would just shit their pants for like 12 minutes. And he'd just stand there on screen because they wrote that scene for applause.
Yeah, it was right then and there, like, because Billy D comes on and he's like, woo, flying the Millennium Falcon. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I was so happy. But then, literally a second later, I was like, oh, I wish I had seen that for the first time while watching the movie.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. That's why trailers ruin things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with you there. And then I was so excited to see him because, like, Lando's happy, but you can tell in that scene, like, Billy D is legitimately having a great time.
Yeah.
Like, he's so happy to be in that cockpit. That's Billy D is like is probably like my third favorite actor from the Star Wars universe, especially since, like, when the movies were coming out, he didn't know shit about shit. He was constantly forgetting like people's names, not just the characters, like the actual fucking actors. He didn't give a half like bit fuck. And every Star Wars anything that's ever appeared that's had Lando in it since then, he's been the actual voice.
Yep.
He's the only person who they actually got to voice himself in this game. And now he's just like super into the lore. He's come up with like self-defense arguments for Lando, whereas like why Lando made those choices, how it went down, and like that it was totally justified. And then he went undercover in Jabba's palace for months trying to break Han out. Oh, I just love him. He's such a gem.
Yup.
But looping back around to Carrie Fisher, I distinctly remember as soon as they announced that JJ was like going to come back to direct the third one, which is what it was called at the time, Better Days. That he was like, we still have shit tons of unused film of Carrie from The Force Awakens, and we'll be using a lot of it.
Huh. I didn't hear about that.
I distinctly remember, like, as soon as they brought him back.
Huh. Yeah, no, I did not hear about that. That at least gives me, you know, I can't, I don't know the right word for it, but I am happy that they're not reviving her with CG.
It's understandable. Like, de-aging her CG-wise for Rogue One, like, it was already gonna happen before she passed away, as unfortunate that is, but, like, bringing her back now at the, like, at the age of her passing, that seems a little, like, I don't, like, I'm uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, and I didn't even like Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, so
Um, I mean, I thought it was dope. I love Tarkin. Um, and I think that is literally the best you could have done to animate anyone ever. And it worked for me because I'm not a little bitch about the Uncanny Valley. Not to say that you are, but like that's most people's argument for the scene. Like, he doesn't look real. Well, fucking get better at figuring out what a human being looks like. That's your brain's fault.
Anyway.
Do you think that qualifies as and more?
I think so. God, I'm getting gang raped.
Don't worry. I've made an impenetrable wall of spinning lightsaber for you.
We won!
Oh, phenomenal.
That was fun.
Then back to the trailer, I think. It's a shot of Poe and 3PO, who's wearing a bandolier for some reason, on like a skiff, but it's like a pirate skiff, and there's like space wizards chasing them.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
there
was
are.
pretty neat. That was wacky. I liked that. The reason that my feelings were more mixed than negative, because like I have a lot of problems with what it looks like could happen, not what will or won't, but like what the possibility that it could. But like the environments that they've shown in this movie, like they look like worlds I want to explore, and I fucking love that in Star Wars. Like Crate was amazing, it was beautiful, I like it. I'm fine with it being the only planet because it's just that goddamn good. But like, I want those amazing environments. They're another one of the things that I love so much about Star Wars. That those environments are like things I've never seen before, and they're just so inspiring and beautiful. And the fact that most of them actually exist on the planet boggles my mind.
Right? Like, I'm sure that Skellig has gotten such a boom in its tourism because of Star Wars, and rightly so. It's a beautiful place that I had no idea about. And yeah, like the environment that I loved the most was actually the one at the end where they were looking off into basically what was an ocean with half of the half-built Death Star sticking out of it.
Yeah, that's either, yeah, I mean, it's either like one of the bodies in the Yavin system or Endor. It might be Yavin over Endor, but it would make more sense for it to be Endor because of like how, you know, the trailer ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get Billy D and Chewbacca, and Chewbacca looks happy.
He goes, "Hurrah!"
Yeah. Lando's happy to have his ship back.
Yeah, EJ found a meme already. That's a perfect meme. Because in I think it was an actual line in Solo, right? Or it's like
I don't think
he's
so.
oh, it'd be
Um,
perfect if it was.
if it was not with those screen grabs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a screen cap of young Lando saying, "I'm gonna get my ship back," and Han Solo saying, "Over my dead body." And then it cuts to the trailer, Billy D and the Millennium Falcon looking all happy with the caption, "Lando laughing."
It's not even like it's like the actual fucking closed caption for the trailer too. It's so perfect. Um, it also looks like he's wearing a mix of his like blue and yellow like Cloud City Administrator outfit and like the cool weird like 90s 60s fusion outfits that Donald Glover was wearing. I mean, it's only for like a few frames, but it looks like they updated his wardrobe to be a mix between the two Landos. I'm down.
Yeah, that's cool.
And there's a lot more Sand Planet with the whole gang on like sand skiffs. Uh, and yeah, we get that shot of the destroyed Death Star, possibly on Endor. And another thing that again hit me really hard is during during Luke's voiceover, he repeats the line that he said to Leia, which killed me in the Last Jedi because Carrie passed away. But the whole "no one's ever truly gone" thing with a really sweet note to it, and I started crying a bunch more because everyone's fucking dead forever.
He was sobbing.
Like a little bitch. Oh, it was really hard to keep my eyes open to watch the trailer. Um,
Yeah, I
and
really
then-
do like that line.
that's just so beautiful. Um, and yeah, it cuts to the title shot. Plays Kylo's theme in like a major key, which has always been like the good force. And then you hear good old lovely Sheev Palpatine cackling away.
Yeah, right after Luke says no one's ever really gone. And that's probably the most worrying thing about the trailer for me. There's no
Which is
reason for good old Emperor Pep to come back.
That's absolutely understandable if you haven't done anything to follow lore outside the movies, which most people haven't. If you actually played this game, you'd see Emperor Pep after he died.
Oh.
As as I don't know if they're called messengers or sentinels or whatever, but they're basically cool floaty red robots with like hologram faces that just project his face and give orders to remnants of the Empire, as like a "hey, I died, this is what's happening now" kind of thing. Which, spoilers, his plan for the Empire after he dies is to make it turn in on itself and burn every Imperial-controlled planet to cinders, so that way it can no longer like be habitable.
Oh.
Yeah, so you know, if he can't play with his toys anymore, no one can.
What a turn for like the end of the movie though that would be if like it was doing really good and it builds it all up and then all of a sudden Emperor Palpatine in robot form comes out and is like, "I am your final battle."
And just to get a little bit deeper into lore that exists outside the movies. I don't suppose you do remember, but Luke had a little compass in his in his hut in Octo that shows up in this game that he gets from one of the Emperor's observatories, which are just like hidden bunkers on very force sensitive, like planets that are very strong in any type of the force. Where he just chill out and do force things to spy on what he described briefly as an unknowable, overwhelming power that could easily overtake the entire galaxy and put it in jeopardy. Like, which is apparently his motivation for forming the Empire in the first place. 80% he wanted everything ever and to be Super Emperor. And then 20% because he wanted there to still be an empire for him to be Super Emperor of. So it was kind of his way of unifying the galaxy against this greater force. But yeah, those messengers. It could be one of those aboard the remains of the Death Star that we see. Some people think it could be a clone because Star Wars Legends, old canon, just had clones all the time. Sometimes there were clones of the old Emperor, sometimes there were clones of young Emperor, sometimes there were clones of like a Luke Emperor fuck baby. Yeah, it's weird. Of course, it could also just be a Force ghost of him.
Oh, true.
Because he got up to a lot of wild shit, and he could have learned how to do it in the many years of a functioning empire.
Well, I mean, he did tell Darth Vader he learned how to escape death.
Personally, I think that that the reason the Emperor makes his appearance as a disembodied laugh at the end of the trailer is to be like a red herring. Like he's gonna be the Act 1 to Act 2 villain. He's gonna be like this, oh look at me, I'm spooky, like kind of reveal. But in the end, he's like not actually the prevailing evil force here. And because Ben's theme plays like in the swelling key, I don't think he's going to be the main, like the big villain. I do believe he'll be like the main antagonist, but I don't think he'll be like the big villain.
That sounds... I'd like that. How funny would it be, too, to, like... I know this probably wouldn't be the point of, you know, JJ doing it, but it'd be funny if, like, he actually did make people think that, you know, the final fight was going to be with Emperor Palpatine, and, like, people who hated The Last Jedi would be like, oh, good, at least part of the Star Wars I like will be here. And then it turns out to be a red herring, and then it's still only just the Star Wars that we've gotten in the past 2 years, and they're just like, fuck. Like, that would be mean for no reason, but I'd like it.
So, there are a couple of interesting things about like the structure of it. The Death Star, as we learned in Rogue One, its main gun is powered by shit tons of kyber crystal. The same thing that powers lightsabers, which were harvested from Jeddah. Apparently, Jeddah's filming location was the country of Jordan. Yeah. Which also happens to be where the scene in the trailer where Rey faces down the tie was shot, apparently.
Huh.
So there's like a. I personally would like to see the first act of the movie being Rey either rebuilding Anakin's lightsaber or building her own, and the reason they go to the Death Star and or to Jeddah or Jakku or wherever the fuck that is. Hopefully not either. Um, the reason they go to those locations is so that way she can like go and harvest kyber crystal to like rebuild it, or hopefully make a new one. But yeah, whatever. Like I would like it if it was like her personal growth and journey, like she made her own new lightsaber like Luke did, except we actually get to see her go through the journey and like growth to make it. But at the same time, I'd be okay with it if she didn't, because as illustrated so well in The Last Jedi, she's very reverent of the past and like the traditions and legends of the Jedi. So it would make sense for her to try and rebuild this relic.
Yeah, that's fair. And actually something I just recently learned. So I'm not sure if this documentary is supposed to be legally on YouTube, but it is, so I watched it. And it was like, it's called like Star Wars Making an Empire or Building an Empire, or like an Empire of Dreams or something like that. And it literally goes through like the creation like of all the Star Wars movies. It's like a 2.5-hour documentary. Like most of it is spent on A New Hope and what George Lucas and everybody was doing to set up A New Hope. So that was super cool to watch, and they put in some of his concept stuff. And some of the concept stuff for the initial Force was that it actually had an explanation other than midichlorians, which was that initially the Kyber crystal was actually supposed to be like a holy grail type of thing, where there was like only one of them or something like that, and either the Force emanated from it or it was like the physical embodiment of the Force, kind of similar to the Holy Grail. And so that's just a super interesting piece of information that I learned, that, you know, I think it's kind of cool that they, you know, even though they changed the lore, they still kind of kept with what initially was there.
Yeah, that's neat. I was also thinking that, like, oh god, ugh. Sorry, I thought about the actual reasoning for the thing I'm about to say, but like, I hope that Rey gets like a cool fucking yellow or orange lightsaber or something. But that's definitely not going to happen for two reasons. One, if her like kyber crystal were to make it like yellow or orange, then it would not be as visually striking in that desert setting. And there's no way JJ is going to pass up a pretty shot with how obsessed he is about fucking dramatic colors. And second, because apparently lightsabers they don't get their colors from the crystals anymore. They get them based off of your affinity with the Force. So like when you're strong enough to Force become a master, you get a green lightsaber, and like otherwise if you're just generally a decent person, it's blue. And like if you turn to the dark side, it becomes red because your kyber crystal bleeds. Because, you know, we needed to be emo with our Star Wars.
Who wrote that?
Don't know, but it's canon now.
God damn it. There are some new things that they're doing that just aren't good.
I just much preferred it when it was just like, hey, this is just a purple kyber crystal. Have fun with that.
Yeah. So wait, does having a purple kyber crystal just mean that you're Samuel L. Jackson now?
Yeah, no, you can only have a purple lightsaber if you're black. That's what that means. The Force sees race.
There should be like a satirical animation done or something, or satirical skit done where like somebody just like takes a knife and just like etches in badass motherfucker onto their lightsaber, and they turn it on, all of a sudden it's purple.
Oh, that'd be great. Which kyber crystal's yours? It's the one that says badass motherfucker on it. Like, more than anything, I hope I don't see this structure because I don't want to know how the movie goes before I see it. But, based off the trailer and what we're seeing and, like, the thing that's been presented to us, she could have absolutely fixed her lightsaber in the some time has passed that has passed. But, I would like to see the first act of the movie being Rey rebuilding her lightsaber and Kylo fucking shit up being the new Supreme Leader of the First Order. That would be great. Then they bump into a representation of the Emperor on Endor for whatever fucking reason. And then the shenanigans ensue, and the push along to the real like villain of the plot, and the actual danger from the good people's perspective. Kylo being Kylo doesn't change his view on whatever the fuck his motivations are at this point. I don't know, killing Rey because she likes Luke or something. I'm sure he'll have a tantrum, bro. And like that scene in the desert, because that's probably definitely him. He's the only one we've ever. He's flown the only TIE silencer we've ever seen. That's like his and Rey's confrontation, because we've seen her with the rest of the gang in every other scene she's in. And that'd be like the capstone to Act 2, where whatever the fuck happens between them, and then we get pushed into what I hope we're not going to see represented at all in trailers, being like the third act.
Yeah. I really hope they're careful about what they show in trailers.
Yeah. Speaking of careful about what they show in trailers, Kylo's mask is back.
Yep. Which that's another not good thing that I really think they should have just like left it in Last Jedi. He destroyed it. It's gone. That's it.
It's so bad. It's such a not good thing.
Like, Rian Johnson put so much thought into that part. Like, he knew he wanted it destroyed, but initially it was just gonna be like he slams it into the elevator and you see it just smoldering at the bottom. But then he's like, wait, hang on a second. And he goes over and he stomps on it a bunch of times. And then he puts a little puff of smoke into it. And he's like, here, film that. And then it was way cooler.
You know, when you said he put so much thought into it, that story as a follow-up doesn't quite hold up to how you said it.
I do like the implication of why he destroyed it in the movie, though, which is that, you know, it's rejecting being another Darth Vader, and that's always what that helmet has been a symbol of, so the fact that he's rebuilding it isn't good. I don't think.
Yeah, well, see, that's another thing. The hands that are rebuilding it, well, it's mostly robotic, but, like, the hands that are rebuilding it are, like, fuzzy. They're like kitty cat man hands. So it doesn't, like, maybe I'll look through it again, but like they don't look like regular people hands. Of course, I'm not sure why it would be being rebuilt if it weren't for his personal use, but Regardless, that's just something you shouldn't walk back. I love his mask and I love his design. Look at him up there. He looks amazing. He's fucking great. He's so cool. He's so cool. But he outgrew the mask. His entire like purpose of being is to do away with that shit.
Yeah. Because like I also wonder what Return of the Jedi would have been if cause what I always forget, did Gary Kurtz like start start helping direct that movie, but then he left because George Lucas was getting a little too controlling, so he just let George do what he wanted? Or like, because I know there was a second director, whoever it was, who was like pushing for like a sadder ending where Luke is defeated and possibly becomes
I don't
Darth
think Gary
Vader.
Kurtz was ever like doing director things. He was just like a major creative force behind it. Like he did like a lot of designs and a lot of like the plotting and everything.
Mm.
I could be totally wrong. He could have definitely been like a director type deal, but I think he was essentially like, other than a second creative vision to George, like a producer in job, but not in like monetary responsibility, to where he made sure everything was going as it needed to. Yeah. But yes, he and George were having like huge creative differences over how the series should end, because boy howdy, toys make money.
Yeah. Like, I have no idea if the sadder ending would have been better, but I'd be curious to see what it would be like.
Yeah, it'd make it a really interesting like what if story.
And the only reason I bring that up is because I hope something similar doesn't happen with this movie, where like they had a really interesting ending that like you wouldn't expect out of Star Wars, and then they're like, no, we need to sell toys.
Yeah, no, it did have a really interesting ending that you wouldn't expect out of Star Wars. And then JJ came back to direct it.
Oh, burn.
He's really great at setting up questions, but he doesn't think about the answer to those questions. I don't like his mystery box. It's great if you're not the only one creating the mystery in that box. It's a great way to keep things fresh. But when it's up to him, he doesn't think about the answer. He doesn't put it together. He never had a complete vision for the series. Like, he had his ideas for the questions he would like to see answered. He posed them in his movie, and then he walked away intending to see how other people would answer those questions.
Yeah.
And so now, having someone be like, yeah, but those are kind of dumb, and we don't need those. We don't need the mystery to have a good Star Wars. He doesn't like know what to do without them, I don't think. I could be wrong. He could totally have great answers to those questions, or make new questions that he'll answer in the same film. But I just don't. I don't know, man.
You know, like, I definitely get it. Like, they initially had probably the best director and writer lineup possible for the new series. Like, start off with somebody who's really good at starting off things. Have somebody in the middle who will do something completely different than anybody else would think to. And then have somebody, like, I didn't do any research on the other director, but I'm assuming based on how good they picked the other two, that they probably picked somebody who was either decent at endings or had, all their movies had pretty much a good, fulfilling ending to all of their stories. And then that director dropped out for whatever
somebody
reason.
who would like had a very clear vision of how to end it.
Yeah. And then for some reason that director dropped out. I don't know why. Could be for personal reasons, could be because they saw the reaction to Star Wars and was like,
I like making money.
But then they're like, hey, JJ, you did good. You want to come back? And he's like, I did Lost.
He didn't, though. Everyone credits him. All he did was ask a question that a bunch of other people answered poorly. What would happen if people crashed on an island?
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of, like, because I know he did the Star Trek movies, and, like, I don't know of any actual, like, ending he's done where it's, like, he's done his mystery box thing, and then the answer's been stupid.
Alright, well, here's the thing. He did the Star Trek movies. The first one was, like, an origin story for Star Trek. The second one was the most famous Star Trek movie, just done newer with, ooh, but this time it's Spock yelling Khan. And then, did he direct the rest of them?
I think so.
Alright, and then the next one had them literally saving the day by surfing a giant wave of robots, blasting fucking Beastie Boys Sabotage on out of their fucking spaceship speakers, blowing up the robot wave as they surf it in space.
So that's gonna be the ending to Star Wars, except instead of the Beastie Boys, it's gonna be Fall Out Boy.
Oh, kill me. That is no. No. At least hire, like, Dmitry Pepopskafov or some shit who, like, flunked out of orchestra school to finish the songs. Like, no shade at Fall Out Boy, but I don't want words in my Star Wars songs. I don't want anyone under the age of 60 in my Star Wars songs.
Hey, that excludes young, oh god, I'm being thrown. Like, the name of the composer for Star Wars is just flown out of my head and I
John
can't
Williams.
get it back. Yeah, it excludes a young John Williams.
Yeah, well, you know what? I wasn't even a sperm when those movies came out, so I couldn't stop him.
I took each of that, like, I digested that very slowly in my brain. It got funnier as I thought about it. First, I was thinking about you as a sperm, and then I thought about, and then next I thought about what you said after that, which is I can't stop him, which means that now you'd stop anybody under the age of 30.
They become too powerful as they grow old. Radar.
Which I only learned.
No.
I only learned this.
You're
I
gonna
only
knock
learned
it
this
over.
recently, which is that I used to watch Lost in Space with my dad when I was younger, and I did not know that John Williams also did the theme or did some music for Lost in Space.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, which I mean definitely makes sense now that I know that, because it. If you listen to the Lost in Space music and then compare it to Star Wars, it sounds very similar.
He does have a very distinct style. Like, he likes his instruments.
Yup.
Well, at least she's figured it out.
Well, I think that's most of our thoughts on the trailer. You want to talk about Endgame for half an hour before I have to leave?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'll let you lead the conversation on this one because I'm just gonna put it out there that I've watched maybe a third of the movies in this series, and I watched them all pretty much within the last year or two. So I have not been with this cast for very long. So while I enjoyed the movie, I did not have as strong an emotional reaction as most people who followed it for more longer than I did would have.
That's understandable. That's why I'm so interested in your opinion over the movie. So I very much am influenced by my entire life.
Yeah, this is actually only the second Marvel Cinematic Universe movie I've seen in theaters. The only other one I've seen in theaters being Spider-Man.
Good old Spiderman.
Yep.
Which,
Huh.
oh, he's such a good boy.
Yeah.
He's oh god, I love him.
Yeah.
And he's so Spider-Man in this movie.
Yup.
He shows
I think
up.
his new suit's
He's
cool.
in way over his head, and he just ends up stuck on a mound of bodies because he can't do anything else. I killed farting wizard.
Same. Except I killed him a much time ago. Oh, did I unlock a thing? Why am I a floating card?
What?
Behind everybody, there's one of my unlocked cards just floating there.
Good job, EA.
I don't know how that happened. Yeah, and my general thoughts on the movie are I enjoyed it, but like weirdly enough, like I don't like for the highest grossing movie of all time, more than likely it's going to be if it's not already. It doesn't feel like it, if that makes any sense. At least not to me. Maybe if
No,
you were to. Oh, go ahead.
I get you. I was genuinely surprised by that because the same thing. I didn't feel like it. But at the same time, it's been like a concentrated effort to get here. Like everything has been building this in a much different way than like Star Wars has. You know? To where this is like the investment of like 12 movies now. Or probably more than that, honestly.
It's probably more like 15 to 20.
Yeah. So like on its own as a movie, I don't think it's like the best ever. Just because it can't be a standalone, but that's exactly what makes it so strong is because it's been this fucking giant unfolding multifaceted super story.
Yeah. It's definitely a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Like, I don't expect to see another run like this for movies again in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
DC will give it their best shot though.
God, they quit. They quit. They're like, we're disbanding the fucking universe. People like it more when we just fuck off and have a fun movie.
Oh my goodness, they learned. I mean, I guess they took the entire length of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to not do that. And so they're just like, well, I mean, Marvel's is over. Even though the stage is ours, we're just going to say, fuck it, and get Crystal. And
Like, I'm interested to see the next shape that, like, Marvel takes the movies, but, like, Endgame was, like, the fucking money shot, you know?
Yup, it was their last real big one, I think. I'm still gonna